One of the most commonly asked questions I get as a business owner is, Christina, how do I start a business? Or for the coaching clients that I work with, when they come to me, they often ask, how can I grow and scale my business and scale the expertise that I'm already delivering to clients, but in a larger, more meaningful way? My name is Christina Crowley-Arklie. I'm a business coach, communication strategist, and entrepreneur who helps highly ambitious entrepreneurs like you build a burnout free business through leadership and communication. Now, if I were to start a business in 2026, these are the 10 steps that I would tell myself, go back to my previous self 7, 8 years ago, and say, Christina, do this, follow this process, and do it faster than you most likely did when you started. I'm hoping that these steps are going to help you if you're thinking about starting a business, if you are a high level professional who wants to make a career change, or if you're a person who already has a business but wants to grow and scale and wants to think of ways on how to do this and how you set this up, then this is exactly the list you should be listening to. Now, of course, the first step in starting a business, and I already give you credit because you're here, you're listening and to this video, so chances are you're already thinking about this, and that is absolutely what you need, is the right mindset to think to yourself, I can do this, and most importantly, that I want to do this because I need to do this. There is no one coming to save you. And so when you make the decision to finally say to yourself, Christina, I'm starting a business, I'm starting today, no one else is going to come save me, I am fully responsible for my life, that is when you've given yourself that key to permission to start. And so I would tell anyone who's starting a business, make sure you have that conversation honestly with yourself, with your partner, with your family, anyone who's going to be involved. But if you wanted to start literally today, if this is Friday and we have a weekend ahead, I would say start a service-based business, because you can either sell something that they get from value from you in service, or you can actually sell an actual product. But a product-based business, it is a lot more it's expertise in that you have to know about the market a lot more. And a service-based business is probably the easiest one to get started today. So when you start, make the decision with yourself to start. The first and most important step in this entire process, you're going to want to make sure that you also decide at that point in time, are you going to sell expensive to a select group of people, or are you going to sell cheaper to many people? You, of course, do not want to sit in the middle. You don't want the middle ground of, you want to make sure you either sell high or you sell low. And that's got to be one of the major strategies that you start out with, and a question that you answer with that first step of starting your business. Now, the second step in this is identifying for yourself, what are your superpowers? What is your greatest skill sets and competitive advantage and expertise that allows you to be of value to others? And don't take this for granted. Think about past performance reviews or things that people have asked you to do for them, or areas that you've been identified or recognized in. Those are the areas that you need to step out and say, this is what I'm going to make my superpower. This is my competitive advantage. This is my expertise. And how can you scale that? Now, the third step comes back to a very important part of this process, which is you have to think about a problem that you know others have, and how can you help solve it with that value add that you have, with that competitive advantage, with that skill set and superpower. Now, the next step after that, the fourth step, is that in order to identify that problem that we just did in step 3 and know what problem you're going to help solve, is that you have to think in step 4 about the audience that you're help serving. Now, in marketing, branding, communications, we talk a lot about this, because you have to know your ideal client avatar, the CIA. You have to know your target audience, the exact audience that you are wanting to speak to, because all the decisions you will make will come from thinking about that exact target audience and what he or she's problem is that you're helping to solve, and that customer journey that they are going to go on in order to help get to you and that problem that you are going to help them solve. So the fifth step in all of this is that once you've identified the problem that you want to help solve with your skill set, your expertise, and you know the audience that you're going to help take them through to give them that transformation that you're looking for, you got to think about, how are you going to provide an offer that stands out to them, that is unique in the marketplace, that again is really unique because of your background, your experiences, There is only one of you. And you got to think about how you're going to build and package that offer so it stands out in the marketplace. As an example, I've always thought that public speaking is an area that most people, especially on YouTube, social media, need more help in. But I remember years ago going to YouTube and typing in how to be a better public speaker, and there really were no great videos on how to do that. And really, the only area out there that I found was a solution-based thing for me was Toastmasters. And I remember going to one or two meetings and thinking, this is not how I want to learn about how to be a better public speaker. And that was 10 years ago. And really, when I look at the same type of videos on YouTube, the same gap exists there. Maybe that's a gap I should fill. I should solve that gap with how to be a better public speaker videos and how to's, and again, all online strategies to help people like you and I become better communicators and better public speakers. So you have to make sure that you have your skill set, your expertise, you know the problem you're going to solve and the audience you want to speak to, and you got to think about how to package and build up that offer. Now, the next piece in all of this is start thinking about how you're going to sell this offer, sell this packaged up way out to people. And this is AKA your brand. This is how it's your name, it's your vehicle, it's how you build trust and connect with others. It's your reputation. And so really start getting strategic in this step, which is step number 6, about how do you want to launch your brand? How do you need to put yourself out there? Do you already have a pretty strong brand personally, but you don't have a website and you actually don't want to use your name as your brand? You actually want to come up with a company name? Or do you want to leverage your brand, your name, your asset that's already there and start using your name and come up with that? If that's the case, step number 6, make that decision right now. Is it a brand name or is it a business name? Do you need to go buy your domain name, whether that's using GoDaddy, whichever domain services are out there, and think about how you're going to connect with others through that name, through that brand, as you're trying to get them to connect with you, trust you, and ultimately buy from you. You know, there's a really good line in marketing where they talk about the know, like, trust factor, which is people have to know you, they have to like you, and then they have to trust you enough in order to buy from you. And so that's what your brand's going to help you do. Now, the 7th step is create a website, which is pretty much like the telephone book of the 21st century. In 2026, you have to have a website if you're going to have a brand, a business that you're going to sell with people. And really, it's not necessarily as much of a selling tool as it is, but it's also just, it's like the telephone book. It builds the credibility there. I'm like that. I look when I hear about a brand or a business or a person, I go to the internet and I search their name and I want to see that their website is there. And if they don't have a website, I typically ask myself, why are they missing a website? The same goes with social media, where I typically, if I go to LinkedIn and I look for someone's name and they're not there, I often think, wow, that's a huge gap. I don't know if I trust them the same way. And so think about those ways that you can get your brand out there. And so that step number 7 is by creating a website. Now, step number 8 is to begin thinking about a content marketing strategy. Think about the ways that once you create your brand, you know what you're going to offer to people, you know who the target audience is, you're starting to think about how you'll communicate with them, how you need to sell to them, you get your website up and going. Start thinking about how you're going to put yourself out there more. Again, back to that know, like, trust factor. How are you going to get people to know about you? If they already know you, how are you going to get them to like you more, or like you enough that they trust you to want to buy from you once they see that you can help them solve a problem that they have? Now, the 9th step is all around, once you've thought about a content marketing strategy, it's around how to start really promoting and marketing and selling what you have to offer others. And this is where you have to start conversations with potential clients. Now, this is where social media is an incredible tool for this, because you have to be able to be in spaces where people already are, especially that target audience that you want to work with. And you have to be able to be answering questions or asking questions that they have in their head and saying them out loud and giving them answers to those questions that they already have out loud, and then providing the solutions through the frameworks or the courses or the knowledge, the information that you have through the content that you're putting out there. So you have to start thinking, how are you going to connect with more people, to gather more leads? And social media most likely is the place to start. I would not recommend going on all social media platforms. Be very strategic in thinking about where your audience is most likely and start building your credibility and your brand on just one social media platform to start. Now, lastly, and most importantly, then the first step of actually thinking about being here and starting a business, you have to launch the business. You do have to kind of put a calendar in your date to say, I'm going to officially, formally launch my business on this date. And then you have to put yourself out there to the world. And again, whether that's through social media, through an email marketing list that you may already have, through a very wide audience, let's say on LinkedIn, you have to tell the world that you are launching your business, of what you've been working on, and what most importantly you offer to others, and the value add that you have, how you can be of service to them solving this problem that makes them feel better. And like I said at the beginning, you want to sell a transformation. You want to be able to promise them that you recognize their challenge, their problem, that you have a solution for it, and here's how you're going to make them feel and be by the end of their time working with you. What I would highly recommend here is do direct outreach to get the word out about your business, your brand, how you've launched, and offer an incentive. Say to people, listen, I'm looking to start with special pricing for my first 3 clients. I'd love to start working with you, and I have a special price offering that I'm providing right now while I launch. This is what's going to help people get through the door to think about working with you, to maybe do a discovery call with you, and to, of course, most importantly, hopefully start working with you in your business. Now, this is just the top 10 quick ways to get started. And if this is a Friday and you want to get going, I can guarantee that by the end of the weekend, if you were to do these steps through 1 to 10, chances are by Sunday night, you would have some very hot leads already thinking about working with you. But there are many things to think about after these 10 steps that I know are out there as a business owner. You got to think of ways to scale your business. You want to be able to sell your time, and eventually you want to be able to scale your time and not just trade 1 hour for an hourly rate. So you're going to want to automatically, probably from the beginning, think about your business model and how you want to scale your business. Of course, there's going to be a lot more technical things. You have to register your business in your state or your province or your country. You're going to have to open a bank account to make sure that the funds that you're getting from clients actually goes into your business bank account. You're going to want to start thinking about tools that will help you automate and build systems. So things like Calendly to help book client discovery calls directly into your calendar, Kit for email marketing tool, which is what I use, Asana and Trello as an example for business admin platforms that you can use to help getting yourself organized, maybe considering working with a VA right from the beginning, a virtual assistant, if you feel like you need the support for a very affordable hourly rate. You're going to want to think of tools and ways to already start systemizing and automating things. Of course, the 2 biggest things I can't stress enough in this is progress over perfection. So just get started. And that's probably the biggest thing. I wish I could go back and tell my, Christina from 10 years ago when I started my business, is just get started. It does not matter whether you do it perfectly, whether it's right from the get-go, whether the website was perfect, the branding, the colors, the fonts do not matter. Just get started. That's how you start putting yourself out into the world. And consistency will matter, especially as you start getting into your content, sharing more with the world, what you do, your value add. That is how people are going to find you. Probably one of the greatest articles I read last year was an article from Gary Vee, who talked about scaling a business and how the greatest thing you can do to scale business is content. Putting yourself out there day after day after day. It's not necessarily at the beginning even about what you say. It's again more importantly about how you say it, how you make other people feel, and whether they even want to work with you, the value add, the service that you provide to others. So just get started, progress over perfection. And lastly, always come back to your why and your purpose. If you felt motivated enough to start a business because you wanted to leave the corporate rat race, or you wanted more freedom, more fulfillment, more purpose to spend more time with your family, or you wanted to make a huge difference in the lives of others and make an impact with others because you knew you had a skill set that couldn't be wasted, that you had so much more potential to unlock, always make sure you come back to that why and that purpose, that kind of personal mission statement and vision statement for yourself that has driven that decision about why you even decided to watch this video, why you decided to listen to the whole video and even start that first most important step of how to start a business in 2026. Now, if any of these steps resonated for you, or this entire process spoke to you and you found it very helpful, hit subscribe below or drop a comment below and tell me what you thought about how you feel you can start or grow and scale your business in 2026.